What's going on, guys? Proof here, and today is going to be Korikai's deck profile.
Hey.
And he played Messiah at teams, and this was his deck that he used to go, 7-1 at teams?
Yeah.
It's pretty good. Pretty good. And like my profile that you guys hopefully have seen by now, he's going to go through the deck as is in the first part, and then he's going to come back with a second part to talk about some of his own personal advanced techniques and tactics that he used throughout the course of the gameplay for that day. And so, if you're all set, hop into it.
Plays Freezeray Messiah. This is basically Patrick Bissell's list from Atlanta teams with a few changes. Shout outs to him because I had no idea how to play this deck when he made the deck profile public, and it showed me a lot of ways to make the deck. The deck is different from his because it's more defensive than it is offensive. His is kind of more slow them down, but go into Amnesty, First Strike, crit them, and then just like cripple their defenses. I like to draw a lot and just kind of manage my resources before I go for a kill. Starting Vanguard is Neon Messiah. It's not the only Forerunner you can play, but it's better in the sense that it gives you more things to do because it stays on the board. When it unlocks Generation Break Restricted, you search your deck for an Alter Ego and add it to hand. Only Alter Ego because we only have one Grade 3 Messiah card in the deck. 4 Blink Messiah because it gives you power to your strides, it lets you draw, and it adds soul for your GD2. 4 Paradigm Shift Dragon because this card is stupid and you don't need a Star-vader to send it back. Even though you don't lock a card for its skill because Freezeray only locks on their side because you don't play any damage adders or anything like that, you still can recycle it and just make your in-game strides really dumb. Just make sure that you have all crits left in your deck and cycle them every single turn. 4 Superstring Theory because she's cute and she adds to soul and can let you swing for a magic number with your rear guards. And then 4 heals because why not? G-Guardians are a thing, being defensive is a thing, healing is a thing, so RNG allows you to do all the stuff. 4 Cosmo Wreath over like a trial deck PG or the Star-vader one, what's his name? Prometheum.
Yeah, him.
Because it allows you to manage your counterblast, which is super important in this deck. You can be insanely greedy, even though there are not a lot of things that counterblast in this deck. But I'd rather have these just because it allows you to manage your resources and make sure that when you are going for greedy plays like that, you just have it available to you and you're not really punished for it. 4 Destiny Dealer because the deck is strike reliant and there's no real reason not to play these because it's Messiah. If you are in the 99.9 percentile where you don't want to be on Freezeray, then you are allowed to switch at any given moment because you have Destiny Dealer, allows you to search Alter Ego out. Any other matchup just allows you to stride. You can't go into like Medu or something. 4 Sacrifice Messiah. In the original list, this was only at 3, but now that we have G-Guardians and we have the interactions with Maxwell, I bumped this up to 4 because I think this card is too important not to play at 4. It basically does what the 1-of Dark Chameleon tech would do, but it doesn't have resist. I don't think the 1-of resist is too important. The card does way too much now. When you lock a card at any given moment, you can lock him. If you lock him, you countercharge and give +3 to anything. It'd be Vanguard and be a rear guard. There are way too many interactions where you want this on the board over Dark Chameleon, which just gives you an unclip, and this already gives you a countercharge, so I bumped it up to 4. And then this was a really random tech spot. In the original deck, this was Gravitational Collapse Woman thing, and it lets you, if you are on Freezeray, go into Amnesty easier because it allowed you to draw a card and it made you lock something. But as the game goes along, the card becomes less of something you want on the board because it's a 6k booster. If you're going for Amnesty and you unlock a column, it doesn't swing for magic numbers, and the draw isn't needed, and it eats a counterblast, which you don't always have the ability to unclip. What this does is when it guards, if you have 2 or more locked cards, it gets +10k shield. So it's essentially a G-Guardian that you can dig for because of the fact that you draw a lot, and it's you get the +10k shield just for doing what your deck does. So I played it here. It wasn't too bad. The only matchup in which it kind of suffers is the mirror, just because of the fact that they'll use Amnesty and unlock your stuff before you get to use this, but in any other match it was just extra defense without having to burn your hand. Grade 2s, you play 4 Gravity Well. I didn't really like her too much because it just seemed like without the Awakening Messiahs, because they aren't in here, without him, she is less important, but she's still good. What she does is Generation Break 1, you lock one of your other rear guards, and she gains +4, so you add it with the draw trigger, it's 16k base by itself, and then you lock the booster. Lets you lock things for free, because it doesn't cost a counterblast, and lets you set up Amnesty, still can swing for a number by itself, because you don't have a booster. And this is the only way that you can lock your starter outside of burning an Arrestor if you are on Freezeray. 4 copies of Arrestor Messiah. The card is absolutely stupid and snapped. Doesn't cost anything, you just have to be on a Messiah. So even if you are not on Alter Ego, all you have to do is go into one of your mini Messiah strides, and you'll be able to kick this off. What it does is when it's placed on rear guard, Generation Break 1 is immediately an 11k, and after it swings, you can lock it. If you lock it, you can lock anybody in the back row, either board. So it allows you to, again, get off Amnesty, get off Excelics, get off whatever you want, and unlock it with those strides, so you can swing again after. It will not get the skill. Do not let people lie to you. If you unlock it, it doesn't become an 11k again. Unlocking the card does not put it into play, but still stupid good. And then this was not in the original list either, but we played free Duskblade for the iterations with Sacrifice Messiah, which I'll talk about in the video after this one. He is the Amber clone. The only downside to him is that he can't lock anything higher than a grade 2. So if you use him, you have to make sure that you lock down the card you would normally on instinct lock down with Alter Ego first. Just because normally you would lock down the intercept so you minimize what they can do defensively, but if you lock that down, they have like a grade 3 in the cut or something. You can't lock it with Duskblade because he only locks grade 2 or lowers. This card was hit and miss just because I never really saw it during the rounds that I played it, but in the rounds that he was a thing, he did things. 4 copies of Alter Ego because it's a Messiah deck, and he's literally the only Messiah that's not a stride. So what he does is when you stride on top of him, you counterblast 1, you lock one of yours. If you lock one of yours, you lock one of your opponent's rear guards, and he gains +5, so he gains an extra stage of powers for being alive. And then his Generation Break 2, whenever a card would unlock at any point, at any time, if you're on this card, you can Soul Blast for that card to draw for it. Insanely powerful during the mid to late game where you're at higher damage, and Freezeray can't really be a thing because if you take a damage, you'll basically be dead. Lets you cycle through your deck really fast, lets you lock down your opponent every turn, and just overall what the deck needs to be stable towards the end of the game. And then 4 Freezeray, which I thought the card was absolutely terrible before I read that list. The Limit Break does absolutely nothing. It's just when you lock a card successfully, he gains +3. So you're not just swinging at a 10k base. They still have a rear guard that you didn't lock. And his static skill is whenever you take a damage or a card is placed in your damage zone. So if you're playing the damage adders, the cards that are like Counterblast 1, take a damage at the end of your turn, heal a damage, you can lock one of your opponent's rear guards. It pretty much shuts down every bad matchup that you could ever possibly have. That's not like the Mirror or like Kagero or something where they just retire all your stuff. Any rear guard reliant deck will immediately be shut down because they either play the spirit game where they ride and swing, or they go into that mode where it's like, okay, well, we're gonna call rears, but we're gonna swing with them, and then eventually they're gonna get to the bravery point where they make a full board, and that's where you go on the Alter Ego and just lock all their stuff because spaghetti too strong. Too strong.
What we get? He alright. Annoying.
not even that bad. Just rush them. And that's the main deck. We're going to talk about the strike deck. Free Amnesty Messiah, because every Link Joker deck should be playing Free Amnesty Messiah. It is basically a staple. It helps you fight the mirror match. It helps you crit the absolute crap out of them. It just does everything. So he's not generation break like 2 or 3 or anything, so you can go into first stride. When he swings, Counterblast 1, unlock as many cards as you choose, and you unlock at least 3. He gains a crit, and then he gains 3 clouds of power for each one, so it allows you to swing for really big numbers on your first stride. So you either force out a perfect guard, they take the damage, and you just get free trigger checks, or PG or GG. 2 copies of Excelics, because we only play free Amnesty, so you can only really play 2 Excelics. I prefer Excelics over Amnesty just because of the fact that more often than not, you swing with a Vanguard that has a crit, they're going to go out of their way to guard it. So the fact that he gives the power to the rear guards is more preferred for me. So he basically does the same thing as Amnesty. He has the same cost. He's Counterblast 1. But you have to have an Amnesty face up to even pay the cost. So more often than not, you either go into Amnesty first stride or you go into cards that flip Amnesty face up. You have Amnesty face up, you flip an Amnesty for his cost, you unlock as many cards as you choose, just like Amnesty, but the cards that you unlock gain plus 3,000 power. The cards you unlock on your opponent's side of the board are retired, and if you unlock at least 3, he gets a crit. This is insurance because more often than not, they see a crit, they automatically go into I need to guard this or I might die, and then your 16k columns unlock for 22s, anything higher than that are higher numbers, so it's that added insurance. So, well, if they stop the card that was going to kill them in the first place, we have something to back it up. For Spaghetti, not actually Spaghetti, for the Genesis Dragon Arrestor Messiah, this deck does not play Crunch at all. I don't feel that Messiah is needed. I feel that
Crunch is needed.
I don't think Crunch is needed at all. Just because, like, if you're playing Star-vader, you obviously wouldn't have access to this unless you were playing the hybrid. But for Messiah, you have the option of going to this the same turn you would be able to go into Crunch. You don't have that awkward situation where it's like, well, I can't get the full roll walk off because of the fact that I have to burn 2 counterblasts, I have to stop one of my rear guards from doing something, and then on top of that, those 2 cards are Omega locked, which seems good in theory, but in Alter Ego, especially towards the end game, you want to be able to draw as many times as possible. So to have those 2 cards be locked for an additional turn, it stalls you in your draw, and that draw could have been the difference between you guarding an attack and taking it and possibly losing. So what he does is Generation Break 2, Counterblast 1, and you persona a copy of him. You lock everything on the board, so for both fighters' sides, you lock everything, and then anything that wasn't locked by a skill that is locked unlocks. There are a lot of combos that you can use with this card. This card was the MVP of the entire tournament. Every rear guard Reliant deck literally just died to this card. You go into it twice, you have all the resources you would need for the entire game, and they just can't win. They can't burn through your millions and millions of shields in your hand.
You basically get +4 hand over those 2 turns.
Yeah, basically.
Because it's PG the first one and then live the second one.
Yeah. Then our handy basket of 1-ups, 1 Madhu, because Freezeray unfortunately is a 10k, but because he's a 10k, we can use Madhu to basically get a free stride. 1 Blizza, I don't care what anybody says, you still have to play this. It doesn't matter that you have this super strong stride package of whatever you could do. If you're on Alter Ego, you have no real good first strides unless you just want to yellow and go into Amnesty first stride, but then that burns your resources, and then it just makes it easier for your opponent to do whatever they feel like, especially if they G-guard you and go into a stronger stride than they normally would. This lets you go into Excelics without having to have that yellow Amnesty turn where you either crit them but it's not enough, or they PG you and then your turn is just over. So everybody knows what Blizza does, but for the people that don't know what he does, you counterblast 1 when he swings, you flip any G unit that you could possibly want to flip over. In our case, it's almost always Amnesty. And then he gains +5k for every unit that takes up when he swings. So with Alter Ego, it's +5 for when you stride and +5 for him, total 36. It's Blizza, so they're not going to PG it, so it's just free damage. And for whatever reason, if you didn't use him for his skill to flip up into Amnesty, he's just super big late game power. Probably to get PG, but if they don't PG it, then it's just free damage. 1 copy of Seabreeze, because we are a Generation Break deck, even though Freezeray is not a Generation Break restricted unit. If you're stuck on Alter Ego, it allows you to do a bunch of stuff. Even if you're on Freezeray, it allows you to have your Generation Break stuff be online. And it just stops Grade 2 Rush, which kills this deck completely. 2 Maxwell, best G-guard ever, for Messiah at least. So when he guards, you choose one of your rear guards, and you may lock it. If you do, it gets +5. Has a million iterations with Maxwell, which allows you to do some really cute stuff that you'll see in the next video. But that for the next video. 1 Dismal. You don't really have any rear guards you want to protect, but in the case that you're playing DP or Kagero and they go for their Laurel plays and swing at a rear guard, or they're going for the cross and stuff like that, you have an out to it. On top of that, sometimes you want to protect Duskblade if you have to set up for it, or you want to protect a Gravity Well, so in those cases too, you have an out for that too, because it can't be swung at for the rest of the turn. And 1 Screw, because we draw a million cards and it doesn't really matter that we get rid of a card, because we have 15 other cards after it, so it's just a way to guard for bigger numbers but get rid of dead cards.
Alright, so that's the end of this part of the video.
Yep.
Come back for part 2, which should be up around the same time as this one comes out. And until next time, guys, peace.